Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. In this video, I've got some pretty big news, and it is the overview and details of the Project Overpowered Crafting Event. This is the crafting event that will run from September 22nd at 12 GMT through October 3rd at 12 GMT, though of course you will have some time after the event ends to still piece together all the parts that you need in order to get the rewards that you want. Now, this event will have 4 different rewards: the PO2M, the Ostfriesland, the CCVL, and the Jaguar E, all of which represent air, ground, and naval. So you will be able to get those rewards for a differing amounts of crafting event materials, essentially. So as I said, I will go over all of the details here in this video and I'll try to make it somewhat concise. Now, this will be a crafting event, so even before I get into all of that, bear in mind that crafting events are hell events. If you guys are relatively new to this game and maybe participated in summer quests and thought, hey, maybe this was a breeze, that will not be the case in this event. You have only 11 days, and in order to get all the materials that you need, even to get the PO2M, will be a very tough thing for most people who play casually. And in order to get the Jaguar E, CCVL, or SMS Ostfriesland, it will be a much tougher task altogether. Trust me when I say, guys, this is not going to be a cakewalk, and whatever preconceived notions that you had going into this saying, well, you know, I play enough, no, it's going to make you play this game a lot more than you thought you ever needed to. Now, that said, in order to participate, you have to be able to use rank 3 and above vehicles unless you have event vehicles. So if you have like a rank 1 or rank 2 event vehicle, you can use that for this and it will count towards this event. With that said, the event is a bit different than previous crafting events, because in previous crafting events, so long as you had 10 minutes of 50% plus participation in a match, you'd be able to get a material crate or whatever it was in the previous events, and then you'd be able to unlock that to be able to get materials from it. In this event, you now need mission score. So rather than just simply participating, and it didn't really matter if you were good or bad, just so long as you actively participated, you need 3,000 mission score in order to get a material box. So in theory, you could get 6,000 mission score in a match, I mean, however rare those matches are, and then use that to unlock 2 crates of materials. Now, in order to get pieces of tape, which are the bigger, I guess you could say, the also very important but bigger materials that you need, typically you'll need something like 20 of these or 40 of these. You need 15,000 mission score. One very important thing to note, though, is that there will be multipliers based on the game mode that you play. So, for example, arcade typically rewards the lowest multipliers, and those might be something like 0.8 or 0.9 times, whereas RB might be something like 1.1 or 1.2 or 1.3, and Naval, of course, if it's anything like Summer Quest, will give just a large multiplier regardless of if it's arcade or realistic, but of course realistic will have a slightly larger multiplier. Summer Quest was something like 2.2 times multiplier for the score, so if you got 1,500 points, or let's just say 1,000 points in a Naval RB match, you get 2,200 points in the event. So it is something to bear in mind. There are ways to bolster that, as well as with rank. So being that your minimum vehicle for this is rank 3, unless you're using an event vehicle, you will be able to typically get a higher multiplier also based on your rank. So if you're using rank 7 vehicles, you should be able to get the highest multiplier. So let's say if you're playing rank 7 ground, that will be able to get you a good amount of points, whereas maybe like rank 5 naval will also be able to get you a good amount of points, and whatever, you know, the highest rank that it is that you have, they're pretty much encouraging to use that in order to get points. Now, this kind of sucks because if you have less than rank 3, so if you are a relatively new player, maybe you're a casual player, you just don't really grind up through the tech tree, maybe if you just have through rank 3 with every single tech tree, who knows, some people really don't like more modern vehicles, then guess what? You can't participate. Sorry to say, you know, but those are Gaijin's rules, and I hate it. You know, it really makes it so that this is an inaccessible crafting event for a lot of newer players or a lot of less experienced players, and the fact that it's based on mission score rather than participation also means that the more experienced and better players are going to, or more successful players are going to be playing this in such a way that they're going to be getting all the crafting materials and they'll be able to control this. So that kind of sucks. with that critique aside, you'll be able to receive the rewards like the SMS Ostfriesland, CCVL, and Jaguar E from the start of the event through 12 GMT on the 17th of October, whereas the PO2M will be able to be picked up from the 10th of October through the 17th of October if you're a PC player, whereas PlayStation and Xbox players will be able to unlock the PO2M from the 3rd of October through the 17th of October. And my guess for this is because the PO2M, it only costs one reward, whereas the Ostfriesland, CCVL, and Jaguar E each cost 3 of the top level, crafting event rewards. So basically, because the PO2M is so inexpensive relative to the other ones, they don't want people just grinding for that and then just calling it quits. They probably want people to continue to grind and grind and grind after they see that they can't get the PO2M, at least initially. Then you may as well continue to grind really hard and get the Jaguar E, CCVL, or the Ostfriesland, whichever you prefer. Now, again, there will be a very in-depth video and good for Gaijin for doing this, but they actually have a video that kind of goes over exactly how to play these events, which I will try to link in the comments below. But in short, there's typically about 3 or 4 lines of things that you have to be able to complete, like lines of the crafting event that you have to complete by getting materials, pieces of tape, and other materials essentially from the crafting event rewards. And once you get enough of those items, the prerequisite items, then you can create a PO2 overpowered aircraft. This PO2 overpowered aircraft will be the basically the end result of spending all of your materials, pieces of tape, and all that after you kind of go through the trees of the crafting event. Now, that PO2 overpowered aircraft is not an actual PO2 that you can just fly, but rather it's more or less currency that you can spend on the PO2M, the Ostfriesland, CCVL, or the Jaguar E. Now, once you spend one of these PO2 overpowered aircraft, you're never getting it back. It's kind of like spending money at a store. So you spend it and you get whatever you get in return. So if you spend the PO2 overpowered aircraft on the PO2M or the Ostfriesland, CCVL, or whatever, then you have to get more of those overpowered aircraft in order to unlock another vehicle. So bear that in mind. It's not like if you get 3 of those PO2 overpowered aircraft, you're going to get every single reward. Not the case. You have to be able to essentially get 10 of those, which is absolutely ridiculous. I don't even think anyone can get 10 of them based on limits on this event, which I'll kind of show you in the a little bit later in this video, but there are limits on this, which will make it so that I don't believe anyone can get every single one of these rewards in the amount of time. And even if you could, it would be ridiculous and just insane grinding where you'd have to be playing to the max level every single day. Be just totally inane. And trust me when I say this, if you have anything, if you're working more than a minimum wage job, then you're making substantially more money than the equivalent of whatever it is in this game. So I think I calculated it a few years ago, but in order to basically play this game to the level that they want you to, in order to get like the Jaguar E, for example, or whatever the top level reward is for a crafting event, and then sell it on the marketplace, you're essentially making something like $1 to $2 an hour at most. So you can basically do any job in the world, at least in the Western world, and make over $1 or $2 and, make over $7 an hour equivalent, or $5, whatever your minimum wage laws are in your various state or country. And you'd be able to make substantially more and just purchase the vehicle off the marketplace before, you just kind of sell it on the marketplace. So if that makes any level of sense, typically the top level rewards will go for anywhere between $60, $70, maybe $80 on the marketplace, depending when you actually decide to get it. And with the amount of grinding that you have to do in order to get even one of these rewards, trust me when I say it's just much more cost effective to actually get a job rather than make worth under a job and just try to grind one of these out for yourself. So if you have any level of money and you really want these vehicles, you'd probably be just better off either getting these vehicles for money on the marketplace, or selling whatever parts that you earn throughout this event on the marketplace, and then just kind of making up for the rest of however much you need in GJN to purchase one of these vehicles. So you might make like 30 GJN from selling various parts if you don't really play this game all too much, and then you could just get 30 or 40 GJN and have yourself a nice high ranking vehicle. Now, with that said, PlayStation and Xbox players do not have access to the marketplace. So War Thunder, Gaijin, they will be giving you material crates that can give you up to 42 items or up to 6 pieces of tape for spending GE. So rather than what the PC players can do and go on the marketplace and purchase materials, they're basically giving you the option of just spending GE to get a set amount of items and pieces of tape, which is very nice because marketplace prices can be very volatile, whereas these GE-based prices should be very much the same, or rather, not volatile. Now, some final notes here before I finish up this video. You can play Ground Arcade, Realistic, and Sim, Air Arcade and Realistic, and Naval Arcade and Realistic in order to get these points. Again, you need to be playing rank 3 and above vehicles, unless, of course, it is an event vehicle in order to get any of these scores, and the multiplier that you have will be based on the type of mode that you play and the rank of vehicle that you play. So if you're playing like a rank 3 Ground Arcade vehicle, you'll probably get like a 0.6 multiplier. So even if you do like, I don't know, 2,000 points in match, you might get like 1,200 points in total. So you thought you did well, but you're not even getting halfway towards a single material chest. So just, there's a lot of things here where it's really pushing you to play realistic, and it's really pushing you to play in higher rank battles. So again, very important to note. Now, when it comes to crates with materials, pieces of tape, and aircraft technician kits, there are hard limits on what you can get. For example, with the crates with materials, you can only get up to 25 per day, which means that, if I'm not mistaken, you can get 75,000 score, or the equivalent thereof, after the multipliers are factored in, per day, and that's how many you can get. So you can only get 25 of those crates on a daily basis, and up to 250 for the entire event. Now, pieces of tape are much the same way. You can get 5 of those per day, which is 75,000 score, and up to 40 for the entire event. And aircraft technician toolkits, you can get up to 300 for the entire event. And if you want a better explanation, again, as to how to craft everything in those, I'll put the War Thunder, the Gaijin video down below, but this is just kind of going over the terms of the event in general. Now, the aircraft technician toolkits, those are used to speed up the process of creating the overpowered PO2 reward, rather than, so you don't need those in order to make those, but in order to get an aircraft technician toolkit, you need to be first place in a match. So essentially, you can get first place in a match 300 times in the entire event, and that will be your limit for the aircraft technician toolkits. But essentially, again, these kind of speed it up from 12 hours to getting the overpowered PO2 reward to 4 hours or 1 hour, depending on how many aircraft technician toolkits you have. An important thing to note here, and I'm just reading this directly off of the devlog, the announcement, is that at 12 GMT on the 10th of October, all event items, with the exception of assembled and in progress of assembling PO2 overpowered and vehicle coupons, will be deleted from the inventory and the market, which basically means that all of the event materials that you would think about purchasing in order to create these vehicles will be gone from the marketplace. So pretty much you have until the 10th of October, and then finally on the 17th of October, that's when their final deadline is to make these items. So they give you about an extra week after the 10th in order to create these items, but if you don't have everything in order by then pretty much the event ends in perpetuity, and that's it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Again, I mean, like the previous crafting event, this is kind of very much geared towards higher level players, but this one more so, being that the multipliers are taking into effect here, and the fact that we have it where rank 3 and below people can't really participate. So it's just going to be a little bit of a weird one, and like I said, it's going to be extremely grindy. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Always interested to hear your opinions. But either way, thanks again, and I'll see you all on the other side. Take care, everyone.